okay, the Catholic Church, which wanted to exert authority over these city-states. At the same time, you had the different empires of Europe, for example, France, and basically the Holy Roman Empire, which we would today call Germany. And they're also trying to exert authority over these city-states. At the same time, there are different factions within these city-states, different families that fight against each other. So during Dante's time, and this again is about the year 1300, he is experiencing constant conflict, constant violence, constant hatred. And for him, the major question is, how can we as a people, as humans, escape this constant cycle of vengeance and hatred and war? And that's why he wrote the Divine Comedy. Two major biographic details that you need to understand about him is that he is of noble birth, and therefore he's a participant in this conflict. So the northern Italian city-states, which include Florence, Milan, Genoa, and Venice, they have two major political factions, okay? This is Wikipedia, by the way, all right? The Guelphs, which support the papacy, and the Ghibellines, who support the Holy Roman Empire, okay? So Dante's family belongs to the Guelphs. So he was just born into this political rivalry. And over time, what will happen is that the Guelphs will win, but then the Guelphs will divide into the black and white factions, so different families fighting for power again, okay? So for Dante, all his life, he's experienced nothing but political rivalry and hatred. That's the first major thing you need to know about him. Ultimately, what will happen is that he'll get sick of this constant fighting, and he will exile himself to focus on his poetry. The other thing to know about him is he falls in love with Beatrice at a very early age, okay? He meets her when she is 9 and she is 8. The problem is that Beatrice's family is of more noble aristocratic birth than Dante. And at this time in history, all marriages are arranged. And so Dante marries someone of his class, Beatrice marries someone of his class. But they never really abandon each other, okay? They still remain friends. And Dante, in his heart, still has this longing for Beatrice. Beatrice will die pretty young, maybe when she's in her mid-20s, she'll die giving birth. But Dante never forgets about her. And he spends his entire life still remembering his love for Beatrice. And this becomes the basis of the Divine Comedy, okay? La Commedia. So these are the two major biographical details you need to know about Dante. Okay, so again, this is from Wikipedia, and when Dante is exiled from Florence, okay, he never returns to Florence. He spends all his life in exile. He becomes patronized by some very powerful aristocrats throughout Italy, and he will spend a lot of his time reflecting on his experience in this political faction. In the Divine Comedy, there'll be a lot of references to this conflict between the Ghibellines and the Guelphs, and his exile from Florence, and his hatred of the Catholic Church. There will also be a lot of references to his love for Beatrice, which will redeem him from this earthly conflict, okay? All right, so some passages that we've looked at before, but which I want us to emphasize, okay, to truly understand Divine Comedy. All right, so let's look at certain passages, okay? So, Aubrey, could you read for me, please?
When I had journeyed half of our life's way, I found myself within a shadowed forest, for I had lost a path that does not stray. It is hard to speak of what it was, that savage forest, dense and difficult, which even in recall renews my fear. So bitter. Death is hardly more severe. But to retell the good discovered there, I'll also tell the other things I saw.
Okay, so he's saying, right, this is the very beginning of the Divine Comedy. This is the Alan Mannenbaum translation, okay? And I choose Alamenenbaum. There are lots of other translations because he's just the easiest to read. All right, so I'm not interested in the language. I'm interested in the ideas. So that's why I pick him. Okay, so this is very simple. He is in middle age and he's in the shadow forest. Okay, so he's completely confused as to why the world is what it is. This hatred for the world is causing him to hate himself as well. And so because of this hatred, because of this confusion about why there's so much hatred in the world, he has lost his connection with God. And he doesn't know how to proceed. It's a long period, a savage forest, dense and difficult, that makes him question everything, okay? He's in a deep depression, basically. And at this point, he is lost in this forest and he feels hopeless. And then a man emerges named Virgil. And Virgil is the poet that Dante respects the most because at this point in history, Virgil is the most influential poet. And Virgil promises to guide Dante out of this shadow forest and into the light. And Dante puts his faith in Virgil. And at this point, Dante sees Virgil not just as a savior, but as a father and as a teacher, okay? And this is important because for Dante to truly defeat Virgil, which is the point of La Commedia, he wants to destroy the influence and power of the Aeneid, he first must put Virgil onto a pedestal in order for us to recognize the limitations of Virgil, so that we ourselves can defeat Virgil in our hearts. Okay? And that's the idea here. All right, can you continue, Ivory? All right, yep, keep on going.
In heaven there is a gentle lady, one who weeps for the distress towards which I send you, so that stern judgment up above is shattered. And it was she who called upon Lucia, requesting of her, "Now your faithful one has need of you, and I commend him to you." Lucia, enemy of every cruelty, arose and made her way to where I was, sitting beside the venerable Rachel. She said, "You, Beatrice, true praise of God, why have you not helped him who loves you so, that, for your sake, he slept the vulgar crowd? Do you not hear the anguish in his cry? Do you not see the death he wars against upon that river ruthless as the sea? No one within this world has ever been so quick to seek his good or flee his harm as I, when she had finished speaking. Thus, to come below, down from my blessed station, I trusted in your honest utterance, which honors you and those who listen to you." When she had finished with her words to me, she turned aside her gleaming, tearful eyes, which only made me hurry all the more.
Okay, so a lot of La Commedia, Divine Comedy, is dialogue. Okay? There's a speaker and there's a listener. And this is an important formulation because what Dante wants us is to recognize is that when a speaker speaks, he or she is speaking from a certain worldview, a certain prejudice. And so we must always be on guard. We must always ask ourselves why this person is saying what he or she is saying, okay? So something that we've discussed a lot is the idea of God, okay? And God is the perfect manifestation of love, of generosity, of forgiveness. And one thing that God does not do is reciprocity, okay? So the Catholic Church teaches you that if you obey God, then God will allow you access to heaven. And what Dante wants us to understand is that cannot be true. If God is perfection, if God is love, if God is beauty, God would never require anything of you. God will always give you free will. And free will and reciprocity are a contradiction, okay? If I make you do something in order to access heaven, that means I don't give you free will. But God will give you free will. All right? But here we can see a contradiction, a paradox, in that what's happening is that Dante is talking to Virgil, and Dante is asking Virgil, how did you get here? Why are you here? Why are you taking me to heaven? And Virgil's response is, well, I was having a very nice time sitting in home in limbo in hell, but then an angel, Beatrice, came to me and said she needed my help in order to help a friend. And then Dante's like, okay, but why would Beatrice want to help me? And then Virgil was like, well, because she saw your pain in heaven and she recognizes how much you love her. And so Lucia said to her, you, Beatrice, why don't you help him who loves you so much?